He had never seen the world, but that day, the world saw him. A blind boy wandered into a restricted military zone during an open house event. Security personnel scrambled as he approached the containment area housing the military's most dangerous asset, a combat K-9 with more confirmed operations than any in history. When the animal suddenly broke through reinforced barriers, weapons were drawn and orders shouted. Then something impossible happened that changed everything. From which city in the world are you watching this video today? Let us know in the comments, and subscribe if you believe that sometimes the most extraordinary connections occur between those society underestimates. Naval Special Warfare Command Base gleamed under the Virginia summer sun, its chain-link perimeter transformed for the annual Military Family Day. Red, white, and blue bunting hung from usually austere buildings, and informational booths dotted the parade grounds. Families with children in patriotic t-shirts wandered between carefully curated displays of non-classified equipment. Military personnel in pressed uniforms guided civilians through designated areas, their practiced smiles never quite reaching their eyes. 8-year-old Noah Winters moved differently than the other children. While they darted between exhibits with chaotic energy, Noah navigated with measured precision, his white cane tapping a steady rhythm against the pavement. His head tilted slightly, tracking sounds and air currents others ignored. Small, thin-framed, with sandy blonde hair that caught the sunlight, he drew sidelong glances from base personnel, who clearly wished he'd been discouraged from attending. "Should that kid even be here?" muttered a Marine Staff Sergeant to his colleague, loud enough for Noah to hear. "This isn't exactly an accessible venue." Noah pretended not to hear, his face remaining neutral. He'd long ago learned that responding only made people more uncomfortable around him. His mother, Dr. Elaine Winters, stood several yards away, deep in conversation with Captain Harlow. Her lab coat peeked from beneath her casual jacket, a subtle hint of her professional identity that seemed out of place among the family picnic atmosphere. "The neural response patterns are consistent in controlled settings," she explained. "But the integration protocol needs refinement. The subjects exhibit heightened sensitivity that persists beyond the testing periods." "The DoD is getting impatient, Doctor," Captain Harlow replied, glancing toward Noah. "Colonel Thornfield expects quantifiable results before funding renewal next month. The Umbra Division can't justify extended research without field applications." "These aren't just lab rats, Captain." "Doctor," Winters countered, her voice taking on an edge that made Harlow straighten his posture. "The neurological pathways we're mapping have implications far beyond your tactical objectives." Their conversation abruptly halted as the base loudspeakers crackled with an announcement. "Helicopter demonstration commencing in 5 minutes at the Eastern Airfield. All visitors please proceed to the designated viewing area." The crowd began shifting toward the eastern edge of the base. In the surge of movement, Noah found himself separated from his mother. The ambient noise level rose as excited children ran ahead, their parents calling after them. Noah stood still, recalibrating his sense of direction as unfamiliar bodies brushed past him. The first helicopter roared to life, its rotors slicing the air with a thunderous chop that reverberated through Noah's chest. He winced, the overwhelming sound disrupting his careful mental map of the surroundings. He tapped his cane forward, seeking a quieter space to reorient himself. What Noah couldn't see were the security designations on the ground. His white cane crossed a yellow line marked "Restricted Area, Authorized Personnel Only," as he moved away from the deafening noise. Inside a reinforced facility 200 yards away, monitoring equipment detected his approach. A security guard noticed the breach on his screen and radioed to his supervisor. "Civilian crossing into Umbra sector. Approaching K-9 containment from the south. Juvenile subject appears to be alone. Intercept immediately," came the clipped response. "No civilians permitted near Umbra assets today." The guard hesitated, squinting at his monitor. "Sir, it appears to be a blind child. He's using a white cane." There was a moment of silence before the radio crackled again. All the more reason to remove him quickly. Those kennels are not a petting zoo. Inside the canine containment facility, Commander Marcus Reed conducted a final assessment of the Umbra Division's prized asset. Thor was a massive Belgian Malinois, with battle scars across his muzzle and a specialized tactical vest equipped with monitoring sensors. Unlike the other military working dogs sitting obediently in their kennels, Thor paced restlessly, muscled body tense as he moved back and forth behind the reinforced barrier. "He's been unstable since Kandahar," Reed explained to Lieutenant Mercer, a new handler observing the assessment. "Neural implant shows elevated aggression markers across all interaction scenarios. If tomorrow's evaluation doesn't show improvement, Colonel Thornfield will order decommissioning." Lieutenant Mercer eyed the animal warily. 3 handlers hospitalized in 2 months. What makes this particular asset worth the risk? Reed's jaw tightened. 37 successful field operations, 87 confirmed target acquisitions. Most effective Umbra asset we've ever fielded. Thor can detect neurological stress patterns at 60 meters, even through walls and barriers. Still, Mercer replied, if he can't distinguish friend from foe anymore, he's a liability we can't afford. The conversation halted as monitoring equipment suddenly blared an alert. Thor froze mid-pace, his entire body rigid, with attention, eyes fixed on the southern wall. The dog's vital signs spiked dramatically on the display screens, but not in the pattern associated with aggression. This was something different. What triggered that? Mercer asked, checking the security feeds. Reed shook his head, studying the readouts. Unknown. Nothing on our sensors except the civilian breach, and that's too far to trigger a response. Noah's cane tapped steadily as he moved away from the crowd, the helicopter noise gradually fading behind him. He hadn't meant to wander off, but the cacophony had been overwhelming. Now he found himself on a quieter path, the ground changing from asphalt to a textured concrete that told him he'd entered a different section of the base. Dr. Elaine Winters realized her son was missing when the crowd shifted toward the airfield demonstration. She scanned the area, a flutter of panic rising in her chest despite her professional composure. Noah? She called, voice barely audible over the helicopter engines. When no response came, she pushed against the flow of the crowd, eyes searching for the distinctive movement of his white cane. A security officer approached her. Ma'am, all civilians need to move to the designated viewing area. My son, she replied, producing her credentials from her purse. Dr. Elaine Winters, Neurocognitive Research Division. My son Noah has wandered off. The officer's demeanor changed as he examined her credentials. Description of the child? 8 years old, blind, using a white cane, blonde hair, blue t-shirt. The officer immediately radioed in the information. The response came swiftly, tension evident even through the static. We have a civilian juvenile matching that description approaching the Umbra Division kennels. Security team already dispatched. Doctor, Winter's face paled. Take me there now. Back at the kennel facility, Thor's behavior had escalated from alert to agitated. The dog circled his enclosure, muscles bunched, beneath his tactical vest, eyes never leaving the southern wall. Something's wrong, Reed muttered, studying the neural implant readouts. I've never seen this pattern before. Before Lieutenant Mercer could respond, Colonel Riker Thornfield entered the facility. Tall and imposing in his dress uniform, he carried himself with the confidence of someone accustomed to unquestioned authority. Report, he demanded, glancing at the monitoring screens with a frown. Thor's responding to something outside normal parameters, sir, Reed explained. Started approximately 3 minutes ago when a civilian breach was reported near the south perimeter. What civilian? Thornfield's voice sharpened. A blind child wandered away from the family day activities, sir. Security is intercepting. Thornfield's expression hardened. Lock down all Umbra assets immediately. No civilian gets within 50 meters of this facility. Outside, Noah's cane struck a different surface. The smooth concrete path had given way to a textured walkway leading to a nondescript building. The air here carried different scents: antiseptic, metal, and something musky and animal that piqued his curiosity. Security personnel approached from multiple directions, their boots creating distinct patterns on the concrete that Noah immediately recognized as military. They moved with purpose, converging on his position with an urgency that seemed excessive for a lost child. "Civilian, this is a restricted area," called a female officer, her voice professionally firm but edged with unusual tension. "Please remain where you are. We'll escort you back to the public area." Noah stopped, turning toward the voice. "I'm sorry. I got disoriented during the helicopter demonstration. I'm trying to find my mother, Dr. Winters." At the mention of his mother's name, there was a subtle shift in the atmosphere, a momentary hesitation among the security personnel that Noah sensed immediately. Something about his mother's identity had registered with them. Inside the kennel facility, alarms suddenly blared as monitoring equipment recorded an unprecedented spike in Thor's neural activity. The dog launched himself at the reinforced door of his enclosure with unexpected strength, slamming against it with a force that sent spiderweb cracks through material designed to withstand ballistic impact. "What the hell?" Lieutenant Mercer backed away as Thor struck the barrier again. Commander Reed moved toward the enclosure, hand raised in a command gesture. "Thor, stand down." For the first time in over 3 years of handling, the dog completely ignored Reed's command. On the third impact, the reinforced door shattered, something the engineers who designed it had deemed impossible. Thor bolted through the opening, moving with single-minded purpose toward the facility's exit. "Lock this place down," Thornfield shouted, drawing his sidearm. "Asset loose! I repeat, Umbra asset loose!" Reed sprinted after Thor, knowing that a dog with Thor's training loose on a base filled with civilians could be catastrophic. "Don't shoot," he yelled to the security personnel already raising their weapons. "Let me handle him!" Noah heard the commotion erupting inside the building. Alarms, shouting, and a distinctive sound he couldn't immediately identify. A metal door burst open 30 yards ahead of him, and he sensed a powerful presence emerging, something moving with four-legged precision directly toward him. Dr. Winters arrived on the scene just as Thor cleared the kennel facility, breaking into a full sprint toward her son. She screamed Noah's name, running toward him despite the security officer trying to hold her back. Colonel Thornfield emerged from the building, weapon drawn and aimed at Thor. "Take the shot," he ordered a nearby sniper positioned on the roof. "Asset compromised. Take the shot now." Commander Reed threw himself into the line of fire. "Hold your fire. Hold your fire." The entire base seemed to freeze in that moment. Security personnel with weapons trained on the dog. Colonel Thornfield shouting orders that suddenly fell on deaf ears. Dr. Winters running toward her son, and Noah standing calmly as Thor closed the distance between them. The military's most dangerous asset, a dog responsible for more combat operations than any other in the program's history, slowed as he approached the boy. There was no growl, no bared teeth, no aggression of any kind. Instead, Thor did something no one had ever witnessed before. He gently pushed his head beneath Noah's outstretched hand and sat, body relaxed for the first time since returning from Kandahar. Noah's fingers gently explored the dog's scarred muzzle, a look of wonder spreading across his face. "You're hurt too, aren't you?" he whispered. Words meant only for Thor, but carrying in the sudden silence that had fallen over the area. Colonel Thornfield lowered his weapon slowly, expression shifting from alarm to intense curiosity. "Stand down," he ordered the security team. "Everyone stand down." Dr. Winters reached her son, placing herself protectively between him and the military personnel still surrounding them. "Noah, are you all right? Did he hurt you?" "He's not going to hurt anyone," Noah replied, with a certainty that made even his mother pause. "He just needed someone to see him." "Secure the perimeter," Colonel Thornfield ordered, holstering his weapon. "I want all civilians removed from this area immediately." Full media blackout. He turned to Commander Reed. Get the boy and the animal to Containment Room 7. No one speaks to either of them until I authorize it. Doctor. Winters stepped forward, placing herself directly in Thornfield's path. She produced her full credentials, which made the security team visibly hesitate. That boy is my son, Colonel, and I believe you've been using my neural mapping research without proper authorization or ethical oversight. She gestured toward Thor, whose head remained pressed against Noah's hand. This animal has an experimental neural implant, doesn't he? Based on my trauma response protocols that the DoD claimed were being developed for therapeutic applications. Thornfield's expression hardened into a mask of military authority. Dr. Winters, you signed very specific confidentiality agreements when you accepted Defense Department funding. Agreements that included compartmentalization of research applications. I never authorized weaponization, she replied, her voice carrying clearly to everyone present. And I certainly never consented to having my son anywhere near this program. Yet, here we are, Thornfield observed, glancing at Noah and Thor with calculated assessment. With your son demonstrating a connection to our most volatile asset that none of our handlers have been able to establish. He turned to the security team. Escort Dr. Winters and her son to Containment Room 7. The dog goes with them. And find out how a blind child breached our most secure facility without setting off a single proximity alarm. Containment Room 7 resembled a medical laboratory more than an interrogation space, its clinical sterility at odds with the tense atmosphere inside. Noah sat quietly beside Thor, small fingers resting lightly on the dog's scarred head. The Belgian Malinois remained unnaturally still, his usual restlessness completely absent in the boy's presence. Beyond the one-way glass, military personnel watched with expressions ranging from scientific curiosity to barely concealed alarm. Vitals have been stable for 27 minutes, reported Dr. Zephyr Blackwood, the Umbra Division's lead neural specialist. She gestured toward monitors displaying Thor's biometric data. Aggression indicators at the lowest levels we've recorded since his initial training. No spike even when security personnel approached the boy. Colonel Thornfield studied the scene with narrowed eyes. And the neural implant readings? That's where it gets interesting, Dr. Blackwood replied, adjusting her wire-rimmed glasses. The implant shows unprecedented synchronization patterns. It's as if the dog's neural architecture is adapting to match the boy's brainwave frequencies. Is that even possible? Lieutenant Mercer asked. Theoretically, no, Dr. Blackwood admitted. The implants were designed to identify specific neurological signatures, not synchronize with them. This is entirely new territory. In the adjacent room, Dr. Elaine Winters stood rigidly beside Commander Reed, her professional demeanor masking the maternal fear churning beneath. This isn't standard military dog training, she said, voice low enough to avoid Noah overhearing. The equipment, the neural monitoring, the security protocols. You've weaponized my therapy techniques, haven't you? Reed's silence confirmed her suspicions. I developed those neural mapping protocols to help trauma survivors, she continued, anger sharpening her words, to create therapeutic pathways for PTSD patients, not to build weapons. The Umbra Division has different mission parameters, Reed finally replied, choosing his words with military precision. Your research provided a foundation, but the applications evolved. Evolved into what, exactly? Dr. Winters pressed. What are these dogs trained to do? Before Reed could answer, Dr. Blackwood entered the room with a tablet, displaying Noah's preliminary neural scans. Dr. Winters, you might want to see this. Your son's brain activity shows remarkable patterns. The image revealed neural pathways lighting up in configurations that made Dr. Winters inhale sharply. This can't be right. Run it again. We did. 3 times. Dr. Blackwood confirmed. His sensory processing centers are hyper-developed, particularly those associated with emotional interpretation. It's unlike anything I've seen in our reference database. Noah turned his head toward them, though his Unseeing eyes focused slightly above their actual positions. "The other dogs are scared," he said simply. "Not just Thor. All of them." The adults exchanged glances, a current of unease passing between them. Noah couldn't possibly know about the other Umbra Division dogs, housed in a separate facility nearly half a mile away. "Noah," his mother asked carefully, "how do you know about other dogs?" "Thor knows them," Noah replied, as if the answer were obvious. "They talk to each other through the wires in their heads. The wires hurt sometimes, especially when they're made to remember the bad things." Colonel Thornfield entered silently, positioning himself in the corner where he could observe without being immediately noticed by the boy. His expression remained impassive, but his hand unconsciously moved to rest on his holstered sidearm. "Doctor." Blackwood approached Noah with professional gentleness. "May I ask you some questions, Noah, about what you're experiencing with Thor?" Noah nodded, one hand still resting on the dog's head. Thor's eyes tracked Dr. Blackwood's movements with alert intensity, but he made no aggressive motions. "Can you tell me what you feel when you touch him?" she asked. "Not feel, see?" Noah corrected. "Not with my eyes. Different seeing. Like when you close your eyes and remember a place you've been. Except these are places I've never been." He tilted his head slightly. "A marketplace. The smell of spices and gasoline. 3 children playing with a yellow ball. Then loud noise and everything goes dark red." Commander Reed stiffened visibly, face draining of color. "Kandahar," he whispered. "The market bombing. That operation was classified level 5. There's no way he could know those details." "Doctor." Winters moved protectively toward her son, but Dr. Blackwood raised a hand to pause her approach. "Noah, what else can you see through Thor?" "Men in black masks. A compound at night. Thor finding people hiding in walls and under floors." Noah's voice remained calm, even as he described scenes of military operations. "Thor doesn't like the metal thing they put in his head. It makes him do things he doesn't want to do sometimes." Colonel Thornfield stepped forward then, authority radiating from his posture. "That's enough questioning for now. Dr. Blackwood," a word outside. It wasn't a request. In the hallway, security footage captured their tense conversation, though no audio was recorded. "Doctor." Blackwood gesticulating with scientific enthusiasm, while Thornfield's face grew increasingly stern. Their discussion ended with Thornfield issuing what appeared to be a direct order before striding away toward the secure communications center. Back in Containment Room 7, Dr. Winters conducted her own examination of Thor. While Reed observed warily, the dog permitted her touch with unexpected docility, responding to Noah's reassuring presence. "The neural implant insertion point is nothing like the designs I submitted, Doctor," Winters noted, fingers gently probing the barely visible scar at the base of Thor's skull. "This is far more invasive than anything in my research protocols. The original designs proved insufficient for field requirements," Reed admitted. "Axiom Defense provided the enhanced technology." "Axiom, Doctor?" Winters looked up sharply. "The private military contractor? What do they have to do with this program?" Reed hesitated, clearly weighing how much to reveal. "They're the primary technology partner for the Umbra Division. Their neural interface designs allowed for more direct control in combat situations." "Control, Doctor," Winters repeated, the word hanging ominously in the air. "Not just detection, but control. You're not just identifying trauma responses. You're triggering them." Before Reed could respond, Noah spoke again, his voice carrying a certainty beyond his years. "He's been to Kandahar. The explosion in the market. 3 children died. He still smells the spices when he dreams." Reed's professional composure cracked slightly. The Kandahar operation had been his first field deployment with Thor, a mission that had earned him commendations but left him with his own share of nightmares. The details about the children had never appeared in any official report. "How can he possibly know that?" Reed asked, voice barely above a whisper. "Doctor." Winters studied her son with a scientist's analytical gaze overlaid with maternal concern. Noah has always had heightened sensory processing. His blindness redirected neural development toward his other senses. But this is beyond anything I've documented in my research. Dr. Blackwood returned, tablet displaying new scan results. I have a theory, she said. Noah's brain patterns show remarkable similarities to what the Umbra dogs are trained to identify. His neural architecture has developed differently because of his blindness, creating pathways that naturally resonate with the implant frequencies. He's not reading the dog's mind, she explained to the bewildered adults. He's reading his pain. Essentially, Noah's brain has naturally developed the same pattern recognition capabilities we artificially engineered into the dogs. Through a series of carefully designed tests, Dr. Blackwood confirmed her hypothesis. When exposed to objects Thor had been trained to recognize, Noah could identify them without touching or hearing them. When recordings of combat situations were played at frequencies inaudible to human ears, Noah responded with the same alertness as Thor. It's extraordinary, Dr. Blackwood concluded. His brain has naturally evolved what we've spent billions trying to engineer. Despite stringent security protocols, footage of Noah's interaction with Thor found its way onto secured military networks. Within hours, Colonel Thornfield was summoned to a video conference with General Harding and representatives from Axiom Defense. Though conducted in a secure communications room, the tension was visible to personnel stationed outside. Thornfield's normally composed demeanor giving way to agitated gestures and flushed features. When he emerged, his orders were immediate and non-negotiable. The boy remains in our custody for further evaluation. Prepare full neural scanning equipment in Lab 3. I want complete mapping of his sensory processing centers. Dr. Winters intercepted him in the corridor. Maternal protection overriding professional caution. My son is not a research subject, Colonel. We're leaving this facility now. That's not possible, Doctor, Thornfield replied with cold finality. Your son has demonstrated unprecedented neural compatibility with our most advanced Umbra asset. Thor has been non-functional with anyone except Noah since their initial contact. Since the dog contains classified neural technology that cannot be allowed to remain unsecured, both subjects must remain under military jurisdiction. You can't seriously be classifying my 8-year-old son as military property, Doctor, Winters challenged, voice rising. Not property, Doctor, a national security asset. Thornfield's tone left no room for argument. Surely as a scientist, you appreciate the significance of what we've witnessed today. Your son may be the key to stabilizing the entire Umbra program. As their confrontation escalated, Noah demonstrated an increasingly unusual ability to calm not just Thor, but other unstable Umbra Division dogs brought to the facility for comparison testing. Each interaction revealed fragments of the dog's experiences: Black Ops missions, covert facilities, experimental procedures that painted an increasingly disturbing picture of the program's true nature. Security footage from these sessions was transmitted directly to Axiom Defense headquarters, where CEO Archer Voss reviewed the material with calculating interest. The boy is exactly what we've been looking for, he told his board of directors. Natural neural architecture compatible with our interface technology, and none of the ethical constraints that have limited our adult subjects. Back at the Naval Special Warfare Base, Noah sat cross-legged on the floor of a modified testing chamber. Around him, 3 Umbra Division dogs lay in a protective semicircle, their usually aggressive demeanors transformed to almost peaceful attentiveness. Dr. Blackwood monitored their neural implants, recording unprecedented synchronization patterns across all subjects. It's like they're forming a network, she explained to the observation team. The implants are designed to function independently, but in Noah's presence, they're creating harmonic neural patterns, amplifying and stabilizing each other. Noah suddenly went still, head tilting as if listening to something beyond human perception. His hand, resting on Thor's head, twitched slightly. Something's wrong, he whispered, face paling. The monitoring equipment registered an anomalous signal pulsing through the neural implants, a pattern not originating from within the facility. The dog's vital signs began to elevate, muscles tensing in preparation for action. "We're getting unauthorized access signatures," Dr. Blackwood reported urgently, fingers flying across her keyboard. "Someone's remotely accessing the neural implants." Noah turned toward the observation window, unseeing eyes seeming to look directly at the security camera beyond. "There's someone else in Thor's head," he said clearly. "Someone who makes him do terrible things." Before anyone could respond, alarms blared throughout the facility. The security feed displayed multiple breaches in the main Umbra Division kennel half a mile away. Dogs were simultaneously breaking containment, their movements coordinated and purposeful rather than chaotic. Colonel Thornfield burst into the testing chamber, face tight with controlled fury. "We have a Level 1 security breach. All Umbra assets are being remotely accessed. Evacuation Protocol Alpha is now active." Through the chaos of flashing lights and blaring sirens, Noah remained unnaturally calm, one hand still resting on Thor's head. "They're coming for me," he said simply. "The people who put the wires in their heads. They know I can see what they've done." Security feeds showed armed operatives in tactical gear breaching the base perimeter, using the escaped Umbra dogs as advanced scouts to disable security systems. Their uniforms bore no insignia, but their equipment and tactics matched Axiom defense protocols. "This isn't a malfunction," Commander Reed realized aloud. "It's an infiltration." Colonel Thornfield drew his weapon, eyes cold with military calculation, as he assessed the rapidly deteriorating situation. "The boy stays with me," he ordered. "National Security Protocol." Dr. Winters pulled Noah protectively behind her. "What have you done to these animals?" Thor moved then, positioning himself between Thornfield and Noah, a low growl rumbling from deep in his chest. For the first time, uncertainty flickered in the colonel's eyes as he faced the dog he had always feared, and the child who somehow controlled it. Evacuation alarms echoed through the facility as Commander Reed made a split-second decision, positioning himself beside Dr. Winters and Noah. "This way," he urged, gesturing toward a maintenance corridor. "That door leads to the neural imaging lab. It has independent security protocols." Colonel Thornfield's face hardened. "Stand down, Commander. That's a direct order." "With respect, sir," Reed replied, without lowering his weapon. "We have unknown hostiles breaching a secure military installation. My priority is protecting civilians in the combat zone." Thor remained between them and Thornfield, muscles coiled beneath his tactical vest. The dog's eyes never left the colonel, tracking every subtle movement with predatory focus. Thornfield's radio crackled with urgent reports of multiple perimeter breaches. With a curt nod, he conceded the immediate tactical situation. "Get them to the imaging lab. I'm activating full base lockdown." He fixed Reed with a cold stare. "This isn't over, Commander." As Reed guided them through the narrow maintenance corridor, the facility's emergency systems bathed everything in pulsing red light. Noah moved with unexpected confidence, despite his blindness, one hand lightly touching Thor's back for guidance. "The dogs aren't just detecting trauma," Reed explained as they hurried through the labyrinthine passageway. "The neural implants were designed to identify psychological vulnerabilities and exploit them. What began as a therapeutic application evolved into something else entirely." "You turned empathy into a weapon," Dr. Winters responded bitterly. "Not me," Reed corrected. "Axiom Defense. They saw the potential in your research and pushed it in directions the Military Oversight Committee never authorized. They reached the neural imaging lab just as another alarm sounded, this one more urgent than the evacuation warning. Dr. Blackwood was already inside, frantically working at a specialized console while monitoring the security feeds. "They've activated Cerberus Protocol," she reported without looking up. "All Umbra Division dogs have received the override command." "What does that mean?" Dr. Winters demanded. Reed's expression grew grim. "It's a last resort defensive measure, designed as a failsafe if the base was ever overrun. It turns the dogs into autonomous tactical units, operating independently of handler control. But who activated it? Dr. Blackwood asked, checking the system logs. And why are they targeting their own handlers? Noah, who had been quietly connecting with Thor, spoke with clarity that silenced the adults. They're not targeting handlers, they're clearing paths. He turned his unseeing eyes toward a security monitor, showing tactical teams moving efficiently through disabled security checkpoints. For them, the security feeds displayed Axiom operatives advancing through the facility with practiced precision, using the Umbra dogs as scouts and advance forces. Unlike the panicked military personnel trying to contain the situation, these intruders moved with the confidence of those following a carefully orchestrated plan. They're coming here, specifically, Noah continued. They know about me now. Dr. Winters knelt before her son, hands gentle on his shoulders. How do you know that, Noah? What are you sensing? It's in Thor's programming, Noah explained. When he connected with me, I could see the instructions coded into his implant. They've been looking for someone like me, someone who can interface naturally with their system. The dogs were just prototypes. Before Dr. Winters could process this revelation, Colonel Thornfield burst into the lab with a security team, weapon drawn. Commander Reed, you're relieved of duty, effective immediately. Security breach protocols require containment of all Umbra assets, including unauthorized neural interface subjects. His cold gaze shifted to Noah. The boy comes with me. Now, Reed stepped forward, placing himself between Thornfield and Noah. Sir, with all due respect, Axiom is specifically targeting this lab. Their forces are converging on our position. We need to evacuate all civilians immediately. That's not your call to make, Commander. Thornfield's voice carried the weight of absolute authority. You were selected for the Umbra program because your psychological profile matched Thor's operational parameters. Your own PTSD made you the perfect handler for a trauma detection weapon, but it also makes you unstable and unreliable in crisis situations. Dr. Blackwood interrupted, her attention fixed on the neural scanning equipment. Colonel, you need to see this. Noah's neural patterns are creating a cascading effect through the Umbra network. He's not just connecting with Thor, he's establishing contact with all the implanted dogs. Simultaneously, the monitoring screens displayed an extraordinary phenomenon. The neural signatures of every Umbra Division dog showing harmonic synchronization, their usually chaotic patterns aligning into a cohesive network. At the center of this neural web was Noah's unique brainwave pattern, acting as both conductor and stabilizer. This is what Axiom wants, Dr. Blackwood realized. Not just the boy, but the network he can create. With Noah as the central node, they could control the entire Umbra Division remotely. Noah turned to Dr. Blackwood, expression serious beyond his years. I need to see what Thor sees. Really see. That's not possible, Thornfield dismissed. Actually, it is, Dr. Blackwood contradicted, moving toward a specialized apparatus in the corner of the lab. The neural interface prototype. It was designed to allow handlers to experience sensory input from the dogs during training scenarios. Absolutely not, Dr. Winters objected. The interface hasn't been cleared for human subjects, let alone children. Mom? Noah said quietly, reaching for her hand. I've already been connecting with Thor since we met. This would just make it clearer. I can help, but I need to see what's happening. The security feeds showed Axiom forces nearing their position, methodically neutralizing military personnel with precision tactics that suggested insider knowledge of base protocols. They had minutes, at most, before the lab would be compromised. Dr. Blackwood quickly prepared the interface equipment, a lightweight headset designed to sync with the dog's implants. It creates a limited sensory connection only, she explained as she fitted it to Noah's head. Visual and spatial awareness primarily, nothing deeper. As the neural link activated, Noah gasped. For the first time in his life, he could see through Thor's eyes. The dog's vision, unlike human perception, prioritized movement and thermal signatures, creating a uniquely vivid landscape of potential threats and safe zones. I can see the whole base, Noah whispered in awe. Thor knows every corner, every room. His expression shifted as understanding dawned. The Cerberus Protocol. It's not what you think. The dogs aren't the weapons, they're the targeting system. Axiom isn't here to steal them, they're here for me. Through Thor's enhanced senses, Noah could perceive the tactical pattern behind the seemingly chaotic breaches. The Axiom teams were herding base personnel away from specific areas, creating a clear extraction corridor to the neural imaging lab. They need my neural pattern to perfect their control system, Noah explained urgently. The dogs respond to me because my brain naturally produces the synchronization frequency they've been trying to artificially create. Colonel Thornfield evaluated this information with cold military calculation. Then you're coming with me. If Axiom wants you that badly, you're officially a high-value military asset. What happened next occurred so quickly that security cameras captured only a blur of movement. Thor launched himself at Thornfield, not attacking but knocking the weapon from his hand. Simultaneously, Noah stood with unexpected confidence, no longer the hesitant blind child, but moving with the assured precision of someone who could suddenly navigate with perfect clarity. I can stop this, Noah stated, but not as your prisoner. Through his neural connection with Thor, Noah extended his awareness to the other Umbra Division dogs. Instead of fighting against their programming, he worked within it, subtly altering the command structure. The security feeds showed the dogs suddenly changing tactics, moving to intercept Axiom forces rather than clearing paths for them. He's redirecting them, Dr. Blackwood marveled, watching the monitoring equipment. Somehow, he's overriding Axiom's control signals. Using Thor as his primary interface, Noah guided Commander Reed and the security team through a coordinated defense strategy, anticipating Axiom's movements with uncanny accuracy. The blind boy, who had never seen his own face, was now perceiving the entire base through the networked senses of military working dogs, creating a tactical awareness that surpassed even the most sophisticated surveillance systems. As Axiom forces converged on the lab, they encountered an unexpected resistance. The dogs they had weaponized turned against them, not with lethal force, but with precision containment tactics, herding the intruders into areas where military security could easily capture them. Through it all, Noah remained centered and calm, his connection with Thor deepening beyond mere sensory sharing. I can feel what he feels, he explained to his astonished mother. Not just see through his eyes. I understand why he does what he does, why he's been so afraid since Kandahar. The neural interface revealed the truth behind Thor's instability. The dog hadn't been malfunctioning, but evolving beyond his programming. The traumatic experiences he had been forced to detect had begun to affect his own neural pathways, creating an empathic response that his training had never accounted for. As the military regained control of the base, Noah guided Thor to the communications center. There, with Dr. Blackwood's help, he connected his neural interface to the base's emergency broadcast system. What followed was unprecedented. A direct transmission of Thor's memories, filtered through Noah's unique neural interpretation, displaying on every screen throughout the facility. Military personnel froze as they witnessed the Umbra program from the inside, experiencing fragments of missions never documented in official reports. They saw not just the tactical successes but the ethical compromises, the weaponization of empathy that had corrupted the program's original therapeutic purpose. Colonel Thornfield arrived with a tactical team just as the transmission concluded, his authority visibly diminished in the face of the revealed truth. Shut this down immediately, he ordered. This is classified information. But it was too late. The transmission had already been automatically archived in multiple secure servers as part of standard emergency protocols. The truth about Axiom's infiltration of the Umbra program, their attempt to weaponize trauma detection technology, and their willingness to kidnap a child to perfect it, had been documented beyond anyone's ability to erase. Noah swayed suddenly, the neural interface overloading his developing brain. Thor moved instantly to support him, allowing the boy to lean against his solid frame. As the interface powered down, Noah returned to his natural blindness, but something fundamental had changed. "I still see him," Noah whispered to his mother. "Not with my eyes, but I still see him." 6 months later, the Naval Special Warfare Command Base hosted a different kind of event. One without the artificial cheerfulness of Family Day, but with a genuine sense of purpose that transformed the formerly austere environment. The Winter's Integrative Therapy Program officially launched, with a small ceremony attended by military officials, medical professionals, and a select group of veterans with PTSD. At the center of the program stood Noah Winters, no longer using his white cane, but instead guided by Thor, now redesignated as his service animal. The Umbra Division had been restructured under civilian oversight. Its focus returned to Dr. Winter's original vision, creating genuine therapy animals for veterans with trauma. The neural implants, redesigned with strict ethical protocols, now enhance the dog's natural empathic abilities without the control elements Axiom had introduced. Noah, now enrolled in a special program on the base, worked alongside his mother and Commander Reed, helping to match dogs with veterans whose specific neural patterns created natural resonance. His unique ability to understand the animal's experiences transformed the program's approach, focusing on healing rather than exploitation. During the ceremony, Noah was asked to speak. Though still blind, he moved confidently to the podium, Thor at his side, providing subtle guidance. "I've never seen the world the way most of you do," he began, his young voice carrying clearly across the assembled crowd. "But that doesn't mean I can't see what matters. These dogs see the hurt people try to hide, not to use it against them, but to help them heal it. Real strength isn't found in hiding our wounds, but in understanding them." Colonel Thornfield, now working with the Civilian Oversight Committee rather than commanding it, approached Noah after the ceremony. Their conversation, brief but significant, revealed the colonel's own hidden combat trauma and his initial belief that vulnerability was weakness. He formally recognized Noah's contribution with a Civilian Service Medal, an unprecedented honor for a child. "You saw what we missed," Thornfield admitted. "These animals weren't malfunctioning. They were trying to tell us something we weren't ready to hear." The ceremony concluded with the first class of the newly formed therapy program, demonstrating the remarkable bonds they had formed. Veterans paired with former Umbra Division dogs showed how their partnerships addressed specific trauma responses, creating relationships that benefited both human and animal. Later that evening, Noah sat with Thor on a hillside overlooking the base, the same spot where he had first wandered into the restricted area months before. Commander Reed joined them, his posture noticeably more relaxed, less burdened by the PTSD that had once defined his military career. "What do you see now?" Reed asked, the question no longer cruel to ask a blind child. Noah smiled, hand resting on Thor's head, as they shared a connection beyond words. "Everything that matters," he responded. Through their bond, he described the sunset not in visual terms, but emotional ones, the warmth, peace, and sense of completion it brought to the day. As they walked back toward the base, now bearing a new sign, for the Winters Center for Integrative Therapy, they passed other veterans with their therapy dogs. What had begun as a weapon had become a bridge between wounded souls, both human and animal. Noah paused at the exact spot where he had first met Thor, the place where everyone had expected violence but found connection instead. Sometimes, he reflected, we need others to show us what we can't see ourselves. In that moment, the base security cameras captured an image that would become symbolic of the program's new direction. A blind boy and a battle-scarred military dog, silhouetted against the setting sun, each compensating for the other's wounds, together creating something whole and healing. The fear that had once pervaded the Umbra Division had been replaced by understanding, the weapons transformed into healers, and a child, who had never seen the world with his eyes, had taught everyone around him a new way of seeing with their hearts.